Okay, we basically have finished the avoda of Yom Kippur with the Matanis Adam, and the two concluding psukim. The last one is V'hoises Oslam Chukas Olam L'Chabal B'nei Yisrael. We discussed yesterday. Machlokes Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Nechemya what the word chuk is going on. Like Rabbi Nechemya, it's going on all the avoda done in the Big Day Lavan, whether it's chutz or it's inside the Kachik Kadashim. Rabbi Yehuda was only going on what the Big Day Lavan that was done inside the Kachik Kadashim. But the one outside, not. The pasuk says before that, "V'chipres migdash hakodesh," we mechaper for the migdash kodesh. Some aveira, it's going to be mechaper for. Then v'es oil moyed. Then v'es hamizbeach yechaper. Then v'al kahanim v'al am kahal yechaper. So the Gemara is going to break down that pasuk one by one. It says the Gemara in Samach Aleph Amid Aleph. We're about 6 lines from the top. We said all different locales, they're considered different matanis, different kaparas with the atzman. And therefore, if you corrected one, if you made a mistake in one, you have to go back, right? If you 2 and 3, you don't have to go back to 1. It's mechaper, any tumah that would occur lifnai lifnim. Let's say you were tamei and you ended up in the kachik kadashim. So therefore, the void of Yom Kippur would be mechaper for that. Oil moyed, it's a heichel. It'll be mechaper tumas heichel. Mizbeach kimashmo. It'll be tumah that takes place when you're on mizbeach. Yechaper elu azaros. Right? These are the azaros. Any tumah that you're in the azaros. This again, it's all for tumah. The par. This is all for tumah. The par, the say is all for tumah. It's all for tumas migdash ukadashav. Look at the first Mishnah in Shavuos. Hakohanim kimashmon. Am hakahal elu Yisrael yechaper elu alviyim. So hushva kulon lekapora achas shekulim eschapim b'ser mishtaleach b'shara beiros. This is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that we go ahead and we're putting them all together. Kahanim levim Yisraelim. Where is that? That is in the ser mishtaleach. That the ser mishtaleach is going to chaper for every avera that they do. However, regarding the par will only be mechaper for the tumah of the kahanim. It won't be mechaper for the other averas of the kahanim. Guys, that's the key. The par will only be mechaper for tumah of the kahanim. It won't be mechaper, let's say he did any other avera. For that other avera, the Kohen kahanim leviim joined the Yisraelim in receiving their kapara with the ser mishtaleach. Guys, that's the key. Because here's the machlokes. Reb Shimon Amano. Kishem shedam haseir hanase b'fnim mechaper al Yisrael b'tumas mikdash kadashav. Just as the seir that you bring l'Shem is mechaper for any tumas mikdash kadashav of Bnei Yisrael, kach dam hapor mechaper al kahanim b'tumas mikdash kadashav. So to the dam of the par is metama for tumas mikdash kadashav. Ukishem shevidui shel seir mishtaleach mechaper al Yisrael b'shar aveiros. So the machlokes between Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon is where did the kahanim get their kapara for shar averos? Like Reb Yehuda, they get it from the ser mishtaleach. Like the Rabbi Shimon, they get it from the par. But Reb Shimon, they get it from the par. So the kahanim are not getting anything from the ser mishtaleach according to Reb Shimon. According to Reb Yehuda, they are. According to Rav Shimon, not. Everyone would agree the ser that's nasa b'fnim is for tumas, the tumah of the tumas mikdash ukadasha for Bnei Yisrael. Okay, Tan Rabbanon v'chilam mechaper hakodesh. Let me do that one more time. Okay, guys, let's do that one more time outside. We're discussing three karbanas. We're discussing the par that was done by Aaron. We're discussing the seir that was done by Aaron for Klal Yisrael, the done inside, and we're discussing the ser mishtaleach. We're also discussing 2 particular averos: the avera of tumas mikdash ukadashav, and any other avera in Klal Yisrael. Let's take where they agree. They agree by the seir mishtaleach that will be mechaper for Bnei Yisrael. That will, excuse me, I make a mistake. The seir that nasa b'fnim. The seir that's done inside, the seir that's brought, the 2 seirim, one lazazel, one inside, that one brought inside, say according to Rabbi Yehuda, say according to Rabbi Shimon, will be mechaper for tumas mikdash kadashav of Bnei Yisrael, of Bnei Yisrael. Good? That's it. Now, here's where the par is where it gets interesting, and that will affect what the Seir Mishtalech is for. According to Rav Yehuda, the par is only mechaper for Tumas Mikdash Kedashav for the Kahanim, not other Averis. Only Tumas Mikdash Kahanim. So the Kahanim still need to make up for Shar Averis. Rav Shimon says the par is mechaper for both things, Sai Tuma and Sai other Averis. So according to Rav Shimon, they don't need the Seirim for anything. The Seir that for Tumas Mikdash Kedashav, that's for Klal Yisrael, is taken care of by the par. The Seir Mishtalech, that's for Klal Yisrael for other Averis, that's taken care of the par. Rabbi Yehuda would need the Seir Mishtalech for the Kahanim b'Shar Averis, because the par is only mechaper for the Tumah Aver of Tumah Mikdash Kedashav. It's not mechaper for Shar Averis. That the Seir Mishtalech would be mechaper for both Klal Yisrael and the Kahanim. That's the machlokes. Tanrabanan, v'chila mekaper es hakodesh zel lefnai lefnim, and he'll finish being mechaper b'kodesh, being golden matanas dam. That refers to lefnai lefnim. Now, just to reiterate, there are 3 places where he puts dam: inside the Kachik Kedoshim, in front of the Kachik Kedoshim, and on the Mizbeach Hazov. There are 2 animals he does it with a par and with a seir. Good? Now, v'chila mekaper es hakodesh zel lefnai lefnim. Oyel moyed ze heichel. Mizbeach kimashmo malamet shekula kapara v'fnei atzmai. The kodesh, the lefnai lefnim, the oil moyed, and the mizbeach, and they're all considered 3 separate places. Mikan amru nasan miktzas matanei shebifnim. If you did part of the zrika inside the kachik kedoshim, v'nishbach hadam, and the dam spilled, yavi dam acher, you bring another par. V'yaskel, well, it's a seir. It depends whichever one it is. And you start wherever at the beginning again. So in other words, if the blood spills on the 4th, you have to start again. If the blood spills on the 5th, you have to start again. Rabbi Shimon, no. You're only going to go ahead and continue from the place where you left off. So at the 5, you only have to do 2 more. At the 4, you do 3 more. If you go ahead and you finish the matanos, shebifnim, v'nishbach adam, yavi dam acher, v'yaskel b'tchilas matanos shebeheicha. Okay. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, ein maskel machem shepasak. Gomer es matanos shebifnim. If you finish the matanos shebifnim, v'nishbach adam, yavi dam acher, v'yaskel b'tchilas matanos shebeheicha. You go bring a new one, and you begin doing the matanos of the heichel. But you don't have to go ahead and redo the inside. Mixas matanas shebehechel, v'nishbach adam. You do partially matanas behechel, and the dam spills. Yavi dam acher v'yaskel b'tchilas behechel, and you begin again. The shita, you begin the hechel again. No, you continue. Gomar matanas shebehechel. If you finish doing all the matanas in front of the proiches, v'nishbach adam. Yavi dam acher. You begin another dam, and what do? You bring other dam. The yaskol betchilas b'matanas hamizbeach. You begin doing matanas hamizbeach. In other words, you finished area A, you finished area B, and now you continue on the mizbeach. Rabbi, we're on Samach Aleph Amid Aleph, where it gets wide about 6 lines down. Nosim miklas matanas shebe mizbeach. If you do part of them in the mizbeach, v'nishbach adam yavi dam acher. You bring other dam. V'yaskol betchilas b'matanas hamizbeach. You begin again. Okay, so now let's see what we just did, guys. What did we just say? 3 areas, 1, 2, and 3. Area 2 is the Heichel. Area 3 is the Mizbeach Hazav. Machloikis in which area? If it's sometime within each area you spill blood, there's machloikis whether you have to start again in that area or you just continue. However, everyone agrees once you finish that area, you're finished. Once I finish L'fnai L'fnim, I continue to the Heichel. Once I finish the Heichel, I continue outside. Good? Now, let's say you finished the Gemar Mizbeach, so you have one more thing to do with the dam. What is that? Shvichas HaYisoid, throwing on the side. So that's where we're up to. Gemar Matnas Mizbeach. If you finish the Matnas of the Mizbeach, finish B'chadam, Divrei HaKol, Sai, the Tanakama, Sai V'Vazir Shimon, HaKol Loi Ma'ak. Divrei HaKol Loi Ma'ak. It's not Ma'ak. You don't have to go ahead and shecht another carbon in order to put the dam down to your side. Guys, good here? You don't have to shecht the carbon to put the dam down to your side. Rabbi Yochanan says the Amoyer Rabbi Yochanan, Ushneim Mikra Echad Darshu. They both darshan the same pasuk. They both dashin the same pasuk. So what does it say in Shmos Lamed Vav? Okay, Shmos Lamed pasuk Vav, Vashteit. The Nasato Isol Lefnei HaPareiches, Asher Al Oren Eidus Lefnei HaKapayros. So it's describing the Nesina's dam inside. Asher Al Eidus, Asher Ivoy Lechosh Shama. Okay, so that's the pasuk we're bringing in right now. What does it say? You go ahead and the Chipar Al Karnes. It's pasuk Yud. The Chipar Aaron Al Karnoisav. Aaron moving the Chaper on the Karnos of the Mizbeach Hazav. Achas b'shana, once a year, midam chatas hakipurim, from the dam of the chatas hakipurim, the dam of the seir and the dam of the par. Achas b'shana yichaper lo v'daresechem kodesh kadashim hu l'Hashem. So pass again in Shmos. Midam chatas hakipurim, achas b'shana. Remeya sava chatas achas amarti lecha. I said one chatas v'lo shnei chatois, and not two. I said one and not two. So fellas, you can't continue doing the avodah with another par, because if you're continuing, let's say it's spilled at 4 and you're continuing with 3, then you would have done it with 2. Any avodah has to be done with 1. Therefore, you have to restart whichever area you're in. You have to restart, because if I continue, it would be one area with 2 chatas, and that it can't be. It says again, midam chatas hakipurim achas b'shana, remeya asava chatas achas amarti lecha. The avodah has to be done with 1 chatas. Now, again, every area, if it spills, whatever one you use, the second one is the one. Because I'll complete the sina of 8.8, 1 lamaila and 7 lamata in that area, but I can't use 2. What about Rabbi Elazar of Shimon? They hold that you could use 2. So what does he say? Rabbi Elazar of Shimon, Savi, you only do the spritz 1 time. You don't do the spritz twice. So if I spill the blood at the 4 mark, I can't redo it, because that would be 2 chituyim, 2 spritzes. So the shayla is, does the achas go on the animal, or does the achas go on the spritzing? If the achas goes on the animal, I have to restart because I need 1 complete animal. If the achas goes on the spritzing, I can continue because I can't redouble the spritzing. Good? Tanya, Amar Rabbi, said Rabbi, Li cholak Rabbi Yaakov b'loigin. Okay, so now getting to something that is we know about. Okay, the act of the mitahar of Mitzayra. So let's do it outside. The Mitzayra is chutz l'machneh. When the kohen comes and pronounces him tahar, he goes ahead and does this ritual with 2 birds and a haisap, and he spritzes a live bird, spritzes with a dead bird, total body shave. 8 days later, he comes and he brings 3 kabbanas. One of them is an asham. With that asham, it's a sheep. That asham will be accompanied with a loik shemen. So he brings on the 8th day, he's bringing this asham plus a loik. He's shechting. He does tenufa first. They wave it when it's alive with the loik. He shechts it, and then there's 2 zerikas. It's very. He spritzes the dam. We're going to a unique kabbalah, guys. Listen to this. There are 2 kahanim that are makabel the dam. One's makabel in the kli, and that goes to mizbeach for the normal zerika, like any other carbon, asham. And there's a second kohen who receives the dam, and that dam is going to be used to put on the behoinis of the of the mitzayra, on his right ear, his right thumb, and his right big toe. So you have a shchita, a kabbalah, a zrika, kabbalah and a zrika. Then you have the behoinis. Then you have oil. The oil is poured into the left palm of another kohen, and the other kohen takes his right hand in the palm and he sprinkles this oil in front of the oil mayed. He sprinkles in front of the proiches. He then puts the oil on the bahonos, on the right ear, the right thumb, and the foot. So he's going to have two things on his bahonos. He's going to have blood and oil. Then whatever leftover oil he has, he puts on the head. That's the avodah of the mitzvah. We've been through this many times. Order here is not so important. The order here is not so important. It's just the idea. Now, we have a machlokes by the 7 where you go ahead and begin. You have machlokes where you go ahead and begin. I just want to go. You have over here, you have machlokes by the 7 of the blood. Says the Tanakama, Reb Meir, what do? You have to do all 7. Says Reb Elazar Shimon, you pick it up at the same point. Rebbe is going to suggest that Rabbi Yaakov told him that, let's say the oil spills out before you complete the 7 spritzing in front of the kapairos. Do you begin with a new loig and you add and you continue, or do you have to redo the loig? So now the Gemara is suggesting that there will be no machlokes over here. Since it says loig echad, it will be like one animal, that the whole 7 has to be done with one loig. Just like Reb Meir holds, all 7 have to be done with one chatos. And there's no machlokes. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon would admit to that. Hi Sim, I'm saying share now. Let me give you a bracha. Yisimcha el himko fayim nashe, yivarech adnai v'yishmerecha, yoreh adnai p'lav elecha v'chunecha, yisad adnai p'lecha v'yasiem lecha shalom. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm sorry. Do you hear that when I spoke to him or not? You hear that? You see me or no? You see me also? Because I don't see you when that happens. Okay, fine. Okay, we have a tape bracha. Listen, it's not like something else we were discussing yesterday about a certain person. Anyway. Anyway. Guys, so you hear, we're zustelling the 7 and separation by chatas versus the 7 of the oil, right? That even though Rabbi Elazar Shimon argue over here that you continue where you left off, by oil they agree. That's what the Gemara suggests, and then it's going to go ahead and retract. But let's see it inside. So I'm a Rebbe. Li cholak Rabbi Yaakov b'loigin. Rabbi Yaakov told me that there's no machlokes by loigin. What do you mean there's no machlokes by loigin? Vatanya nasan miktsas matanai shebifnim. If he went ahead and he put part of the oil inside and the loig spilled, yavi loig acher, he brings another loig, and he begins doing it again from the beginning. Rabbi Elazar of Shimon Aimim, no. There's your upshlag right there. You continue, even by the loig, it's speaking about the oil, and you're continuing. So you see they argue there as well. Right? If you finished the spritzing and the loig goes ahead and spills, and you didn't do the bahoinis yet, then you begin doing the bahoinis again. Not again. You do it first. Let's say you did an ear and you did a thumb, but you didn't get a chance to do a toe. Finish b'chaloig. You begin with the ear again. Rabbi Elazar Shimon says, no. If you finish the matanis shebehoinos, finish b'chaloig, deviyakol matanis arosh lema akfa. So guys, we have we're zustelling, guys, look at me. 3 areas, with 3 areas. Lefnai lefnim, heichol, and mizbeach hazav. So we're zustelling paroiches, behinos, and head, right? So we're saying that the head is not ma'akiv. However, the other 2 clearly was stated, Rabbi Elazar Shimon, you're going to have to begin from where? From where you continued. But you told me there's no machlokes. You told me they agree you'd have to start again. But you see, not like that. Kasha on Rebbe. So Ema, and for the Gemara, Ema li shana Rabbi Yaakov b'loigin. Rabbi Yaakov taught me the halacha of the machlokes. He didn't teach it to me by chatas. He taught it to me by the loigin. But who adin by chatas, they go argue as well. That it's einachinami, just like by chatas, where if you spill in the middle, according to Tanat Kami, Rabbi, you have to start again. According to Rabbi Shimon, you're going to continue. Who I did by the shemen, if you spill like Rabbi, you're going to start again, and later Rabbi Shimon, you're going to continue. That's so. We're retracting from the original shot that we thought there was no machlokes by shemen. Amamar, going back over the brisa. Amamar, matonis harosh ema. The placing of the oil on the head is not ma'akiv, right? Just like we said, shvicha is not ma'akiv, so too the placing of the oil is not ma'akiv. In other words, if the oil spills and you didn't get a chance to put it on the head of the Mitzayra, machnish dois, it doesn't make a difference. My timer, what's the reason? The leftover shemen, el meyata, v'hanoiseres min amincha, hachanami dloi ma'achvei. Guys, when you do a mincha, you do a kamitza, right? And the stuff that's left over is we call it shirayim. The Torah calls it noiseres. Good, what's left over. So what will you tell me? A leftover is not important. So what we call, after you do the behinus, we say the leftover oil you put on his head, right? So if you're going to tell me leftover is not important, good, that would mean by mincha it's also not important. So once I do the kamitza, if anything happens to the naiseres, it shouldn't make a difference in halacha because it's not ma'akiv. But we know that's not true. We know if you do the kamitza, before you burn it, if there's anything missing for shirayim, you can't burn it. So you see, naiseres is chashiv. So too, why don't we say over here, the oil is chashiv and you would have to do it and it would be ma'akiv. That's the Gemara's kasha. One more time. You're telling me the word naiseres means leftover. So I can go ahead and parallel leftover by mincha with leftover by mitzora. And what would you say? Just like here, it's not chashiv, here it's not chashiv, but it's not true. We see by mincha, it's very chashiv, because if you don't have it around, you can't burn the kamitza. So who are then over here? Maybe if you don't have it around, that it's not finishes kapara. Says the Gemara, no, it's a big difference. It says, v'anoisim min hashemen elamiyat v'anoisim min mincha hachanami dloi ma'akva, and if Gemara is shiny hasam, it's different by mitzayra. Dichsiv umiyeser v'hanoiser. Listen what it says. It's saying Vayikra Yudalid, Yud Zayin and Yud Ches. Listen to this pasuk. Umiyeser hashemen asher al kapoi, and from the leftover shemen that's on the palm, yitin akoyin al tnuch oizen amitar imanis vaboyin al imanis vaboyin. He puts on the behinus. Pasuk Yud Ches. So now he did it all the matanis. V'hanoiser b'shemen, and now the leftover shemen asher al kafa koyin yitin al roish. So by Karban Mincha, it just says Vanoiseres. By Mitzayra, it says Umiyeser, and then Vanoiser. So it's not only Shirayim, the stuff that goes on the head is Shirayim to Shirayim. Therefore, it's not Ma'akev. One Shirayim taka would be Ma'akev, but another Shirayim would not be Ma'akev. Another Shirayim would not be Ma'akev.
That's why I think by Mitzora, if there wasn't any left over on the Kohen's palm, he doesn't put it on the Rosh. It's only if there happens to be.
That's what we're saying now. That's what we're saying now. Again, we're gonna. It's so diverse. The Torah is so geschmack. I just, if it could be departmentalized the ideas, it would be very nicely, because now, right, tucked away in the middle of Yuma, we're getting Mitzayra, right? And then when you get you have to, but that's why Yediyas, I used to write them down. Baruch Hashem, at this point, I have a little bit of Yediyas. So you should, clearly, guys, we're going to see today's Gemara. The Kohen does a Kabbalah with his left hand. You never knew that, right? Kabbalah, any Avodah doesn't do with the right hand. Okay, we're going to get to that soon. Now, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Amid Beis. So this is a Shveri Gemara. Now we have a rule, guys, that any, with the exception of chatas, any korban that is bought shaloi lishma is a kosher korban. The owner would have to bring another one. So if you're being an oiler for a shlamim, if you're being a shlamim for an oiler, if you're being an asham, again, this is according to the Tanakama. Rabbi says the only kabbanis that didn't work shaloi lishma would be a chatas and a pesach. Those don't work. That's in the first mission of Masechta Pesachim. And according to Tanakama, Asham also, according to Elazar, Asham also. When work, this is going to the opinion of the Tanakama. Asham Itzaira, Sheshachtu Shaloi Lishmai. Now he needs this because until he gets cleansed up, he's a Mechusik Kippurim. He won't be able to eat kachim. He won't be able to eat kachim. The Mitzvah is one of the Mechusik Kippurim. Again, he has tumah that was yotzim igufay, and therefore he's considered what is Mechusik Kippurim. So Ashim Mitzvah Sheshachtu Shaloi Lishmai. Banu l'machloikis Reb Meir of Reb Elazar of Reb Shimon. That would count to machloikis in Reb Meir, who said you start from the beginning, and Reb Elazar of Shimon that you continue. Reb Meir the Amar Yavi Acher v'Yaskel b'Tchila, that you bring another one. Hachanami Yavi Acher v'Yishchait, bring another one and you'll shecht. Reb Elazar Reb Shimon shoymim mimakim shepasach mishamu maschil hacha ein loy takana. Over here, you would not have a takana, says Rashi. Alma, we don't say kiman de lesadamya. We don't say it's like it's not here at all. Therefore, it will be chashiv. You can't go ahead and conclude it with another one. Keves echad asham echad amati lecha v'lei shtei ashamais. In other words, Rabbi Shimon said that he has to admit over here you can only be one carbon, but they hold what you did is done. So therefore, what? Or they would the Gemara wants to say that Rav Chisda wants to suggest, actually Rabbi Yochanan wants to suggest that this would be the machlokes. It's a very very shver Rashi. If we have time, I'll go back. Tosfos has a different girsa with the Rach. If we have time, we'll go back. But since I want to get to Muncie, we're not going to have time. Maskul Rav Chisda says Rav Chisda, for oisai ksiv, it says v'hikr v'oisai la'asham v'es loy gashamen. When it says v'hikr v'oisai, is mashma that what? Only one and nothing else. Rashi v'hu v'hikr v'oisai la'asham oisai shehunaf im aloig v'loy acher v'afil Reb Meir nami ein le'takana. You want to suggest Rabbi Yochanan that this machlok is between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Elazar of Shimon. We could apply to this shaloi lishma of an asham and say that what? That just as Rabbi Meir allows you to bring a new animal to sprinkle blood, just as he allows you to bring a new loik shemen to go ahead and use for the avodah of the Mitzayra, who adin he would allow you to bring another animal for what? For the shaloi lishma. Guess what? It says v'hikr v'yisai. It, one, not two, one. Oh, so the one that you waved with the loig, that's the one you use. It says Gemara, kasha. It's a kasha. So Rav Chisda is asking a bomb kasha that the Gemara remains shver, and nonetheless, the Gemara is going to bring a raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Nonetheless, there must be a raya to Rabbi Yochanan that this would be the machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Elazar Shimon. Tanya Kavasi Rabbi Yochanan. It says Ashem mitzayre sheshachta shaloi l'shmai. So he didn't finish his action for the kapara. He didn't bring the animal, or he brought the animal, but he didn't do the avodah that's necessary for him to be mechaper. You bring it out the mizbeach. It's a kosher carbon. And you bring nisachim with it. And he needs another asham to be machsheh him. Mashma, you could bring another asham. This will be the opinion stam like Reb Meir, that you have the option of bringing another animal. It says with tzarech hashemacha. You know what tzarech means? Tzarech ve'inlei takana. It means you need to and you can't. It means you need to and you can't. So across the board, the site according to Rabbi Shimon and even according to Rav Meir, since it says v'hikr v'oisai, even Reb Meir would be moided. I want that you're stuck. So that's where Rav Chisda wants to ask the kasha on the brisa that seems to substantiate Rabbi Yochanan. Again, one more time. Rabbi Yochanan says the following: if you bring an asham shaloi l'shmai, and this comes to the machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Elazar Shimon. Like Rabbi Meir, just bring another one. Just like you bring new blood, you bring another asham. Like Rabbi Elazar Shimon, since you can't bring new blood, you can't bring a new and over here you can't bring another asham because it says achas one. So memela what you're stuck in takana because you can't continue. Says the Gemara, Rav Chisda says, what are you talking about? Why are you limited Englay Takana to Rav Elazar Shimon? I'm with you there. I'll even extend it to Reb Meir. Since it says V'hikar Vaisai, it means it, the Asham with the leg. That's the only one you can bring. You can't bring another one. So Rav Chisda, this Mitzvah is stuck, according to everybody. Fred the Gemara now, we have a brisa that substantiates Rabbi Yochanan, because it says he has to bring an other with Sorech Achalach Shiroi. It says Rav Chisda, I'll tell you Pshat in that brisa. When it says Sorech, it means he needs one and he can't bring one. So he's stuck. Says the Gemara, Fred the Gemara Kasha, Amalach, might Sorech Tzarech Takana, V'tani Tana, Sorech V'tani Takana. Would the Tana go ahead and leave something so ambiguous by saying Tzarech V'tani Takana? Why would he openly say that Ein Takana? Why would he say Tzarech V'tani Takana? Says the Gemara in Achinami, he will. In Achinami, he will say that. Okay, so it says in the parsha of Nazir, in Parsha Nasai, in Bamidva Vav Pasuk Hey. So this is where the Nazir is going ahead and he's finishing up his Naziris. So what does it say? Kol Yimei Neder Nizroi, all the days of his Naziris, Ta'ir lo yava al roishoy, a razor will not pierce over his head, ad meloy sayamim, until the days where he fills, asher yazal Hashem, kodesh yeh gadol perav b'sar roishoy. The Gemara in Nazir makes the following diak. All the days of his Naziris, a razor won't go ahead and be over his head. What happens in the days when he does complete his Naziris? Then a razor will go over his head. Got it? All the days in Nazir, then no razor. The day he's in Nazir, then there'll be a razor. Got it? So now we're going to bring a very interesting. I'll show you that you do say Tzarech Ve'en Takana. In Batanya, we learned in a brisa, Nazir Memurit. A Nazir that is, I guess he's bald. Beishama Yoimim, Tzarech Havaras Tar. You have to go ahead and put a razor over his head. Beisil Yoimim, Ein it Tzarech Havaras Tar. You have to. Why? Because he has no hair. So what do you see? We see that Sarech Ve'en Takana. In other words, the Nazir's part is Terech Agav. All we're bringing in is the Loshin, Sarech, he has to pass it over the cut of his hair. He doesn't have any hair. He's bald. He doesn't have no hair. So there, what do you do? Upligi Rav Pidas. And this argues in Rav Pidas. Tanakai goes on Rav Pidas. On Rav Pidas, Beishamai and Rebbe Elazar, Amru Davar Echad. Beishamai and Rebbe Elazar, they say the same thing. Beishamai Hodam Maran, he says that you pierce it, right? You pierce it over his head, meaning even though he doesn't have hair, you put it over his head. And Rebbe Elazar, Ditnan, Ein Loi Boyen Yad. Let's say the Mitzvah does not have a thumb, Uboyen Regel, or he's missing his right toe. Ein Loi Tayrei Lamis. Rebbe Elazar, I mean, no. You put it on the place v'yatsa. So pashtus, you have a sushtel from Mitzvah missing the limbs and the Nazir missing the hair. So just like by the Nazir, like Rebbe Elazar, you put it on the place. Who adin like Rabbi Shammai, you're going to put the razor on the place. So therefore, it's not a riot at sorech thing like takana. Ken zayin sorech, and you do something. So it will be a kashan of Chista. I mean, it'll be a kashan of Chista. And if Shimon I mean Nasan al Shmuel yoyt, so that's good. You can't put it on his right, but let's say he has a left thumb and a left foot, put it on that. Okay, no. Ended at Gemara. Okay, so Yaitzim Midvareinu, we saw Machloikis today. You say this to Machloikis. What exactly the say is Mishtaleach Mechape for? Like Rabbi Yehuda, it's Mechape not only for Bnei Yisrael and Shara Averis, it's Mechape for Kahana B'Shara Averis. Like Rav Shimon, it's only Mechape for Klal Yisrael because the Kahanim get all the Averis, whether it's Tum or all Averis, they get the Kapara in the par. That was one thing we saw. We also saw a Machloikis between Rav Lazar and Rav Meir, Machloikis and Rav Meir, that you bring a new carbon to bring new dam in the different areas. And according to Rav Shimon, you started a new point that the same Machloikis that we had by Chatas, we have by Mitzayra. Same Machloikis we have by Mitzayra. We then went and segued into what happens if you have an other problem with the Mitzayra. Let's say Shloi L'Shmoi. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Meir has a takana, bring another carbon. According to Rav Shimon, you got problems. According to Rav Chisda, even according to Rabbi Meir, you have problems, right? Either way, you have problems. And we just segued into Tzarech. How do you touch up Tzarech? whether Ein Le Takana or Tzarech means no, you do what you can do. Be it if there's no hair, you do it. You just put the razor on the head, or if there's no finger, you put it on the finger, or you put it on another foot. According to Shimon, you put it on another finger, the left finger. Okay,
according to that, if a Nazir is bald, he knows he's going to be a Nazir Leolam.
Well, according to no, again, if
it's Ein Lo Takana, he's going to be a Nazir Leolam.
Then again, according to
what if
I don't think so. I think the tar is not. You should do it, but you won't. Ein Le Takana is a machlokes whether Ein Le Takana means and he's a nazir forever, or Ein Le Takana means you don't do it. There's a day that it's not ma'akiv, Rabbi Avi. It's a day that's not ma'akiv. In other words, when it says Ein Le Takana, it's a sugi in nazir. There's two ways to look at it. It means Ein Le Takana taki got a problem. Well, no, Ein Le Takana and zogzisness. Don't worry about it. You can't do anything. But it's not ma'akiv the hechsher of him finishing off his naziris. Okay, now, what about the actual mitzvah? Getting back to mitzvah, and this is pasuk perik Yudalet, pasuk Yudalet, perik Yudalet, pasuk Yudalet. Listen to this psukim, guys. This is one of the parshas that for some reason I never get quickly. Okay, the shachar es hakeves b'makam asher yishkos achatos. He shechs the kevesh, which is an asham, in the same place he shechs the chatas, meaning in the north. V'esa oila b'mkom hakodesh ki kechatas asham hu lakayin kodesh kodashim hu. V'lokach hakoyin midama asham. The kohen takes from the dama asham. Guys, v'lokach is lashon of Kabbalah. Good. V'nasan hakoyin al tnuch oizen amitaher ayimonis, and he puts it on the tnuch oizen amitaher. Nasan means he puts it on. So he's putting on the behinis. So now we're going to dash him v'lokach, we're going to dash him v'nasan, and keep in mind it says ki kechatas asham hu. So listen to this fascinating idea. Tarabanan. V'lokach midama asham. He takes from the dam of the asham. Yochel b'kli. I might think that this is the Kabbalah b'kli. Tamulayma v'nasan. It's just he gives with his hand. Manasina ba'atzmi shel koyin. Just like the giving, placing it is with his hand. Aflekicha ba'atzmi shel koyin. So too the Kabbalah is with his hand. V'lokach v'nasan. Just like the v'nasan is with his hand, so too. Let me just tell you, Cheskel, I'll speak to him. Cheskel, call me back in 5 minutes, okay? Israel, Ukraine. Okay, now, so v'nasan v'lokach, just like v'nasan clearly means with your hand, so too the v'lokach, the Kabbalah is with the hand. Good, that's what it says right now. Now, Yachal, I might think Aflam Mizbeach Cain. Again, there's two Nesinas Adam over here. If you listen to the Akdama, there's the Zarika on the Mizbeach like any carbon, and then there's the putting the dam on the Mitzayra. So I might think just like you put the dam on the Mitzayra, the Kabbalah is with your hand, so too the Zarika of the Asham is with the Kabbalah with your hand. Tamad Leimar, Kikachata Asham hu. That we make a parallel between the Asham and the Chatas. Ma Chatas tuna Kli, just like a Chatas clearly needs Kabbalah but Kli, Af Asham Toin Kli. Nimsa Atoi. Now you find therefore Asham Mitzayra Shnei Kahanim Mikabel Damai. You have two Kahanim being Mikabel the Dam. Echad biyad, one in his hand to put on Mat the Mitzayra. V'yechad b'kli to put on the Mizbeach. Zeh shekibel b'kli bola eitz the Mizbeach. V'zeh shekibel biyad bola eitz the Mitzayra. Good. Now, new halacha. We spoke out that in the situation of our Mishnah, you're going to bring sometimes 1, 2, or 3 different parim, depending where you spill the blood and how often you spill the blood, right? Now, let's say everything went hunky-dory. You only had one carbon, didn't spill any blood, went through the whole avoida. What would the halacha be? You take this par, you take the seir, you take him chutz lamachne, and you burn them outside, and the kohen who burns them, he's tamei. That's the halacha. These are called parim b'sirim hanisrofim. They're not burnt on the mizbeach. They're burnt chutz lamachne. And the kohen's garments are, so now, Let's say you spill the blood in the middle of area number 1. Let's say you spill the blood in the middle of area number 2 and number 3. You're a 3-time loser. So how many kabbanas are you going to have? 4. The original and then 3 others, right? Good. Do they all get burnt, or only the one that's the last one? In other words, the last one of area. Let's say you bought 2 in area 1. Does they both get burnt, or only the latter one? Got it? So in other words, is it that the finisher? Do we take into account the starting pitcher or only the relief pitcher? Right? Which way? Says the Gemara. Tanan Hasam. All of them, all the kabbanas that you're going to need require burning outside bebeis hadeshin and harazesim, and the kohen with mitame. Divrei Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. The chachamim ma'imrim ein mitamayim begadim vein nisrafim bebeis hadeshin ella achroin hoil v'gomar boy kapara. Now they all go l'shita. Some guys, beautiful, right? Like Reb Elazar Reb Shimon, what are you doing? You're using both of them. You're continuing. So the first one was a viable one because you went ahead and you brought what? The blood. And the second one was a viable one because you brought blood. But they're both burnt. But like Reb Meir, that you're only going after the latter because you're starting again. Nimsa that the first one did nothing for you. And the Mela, it's not going to be burnt. The Beis Hadesh. Wish you all a good Shabbos. See you Bez Hashem to Shabbos. Time to be announced, okay?